Hello and welcome to the RF Workshop channel. Something a little bit different today, something for the mother. Today's project is a stand for hanging pots. I guess you could say it's a little bit like a Christmas tree crossed between a coat or a hat stand. Right, so this is the first terrible drawing I came up with. As you can't see, it has a base and 3 levels of arms. And at the end of each arm there is a hole which a hanging pot or a hanging basket will hook into. It has been requested, however, that there is only going to be 2 levels of arms rather than 3. If you think this drawing's bad, that's mark 2. Moving on, this diagram here, the centre of the design is going to be made out of tubing, circular tubing, and the arms that branch off of the centre are going to be made of a square hollow section. So what I'm going to have to do is cut like a V groove out of the end of each square section, such that the gap is closed a little bit, so the weld can be a bit strong. This diagram here is obviously just how I'm going to hook the larger hooks into the end of each arm. This is the materials I'll be using. The square section for the arms, and the circular tubing is going to be salvaged from a standard rose holder. Right, so this is our midsection. This steel tubing has a galvanized coating on it to stop it from rusting in the environment. Now this is something to look out for, because if you just weld straight to this without any kind of preparation, you'll get all kinds of poisonous gases. They're really not good for you. So what I'm going to do is just get the angle grinder and strip the whole surface around where I'm going to be welding the arm. Okay, so according to the design here, or the scribble, we need 3 arms at 250mm, 3 at 300, and 4 at 450. Righto, so things are starting to come together. All that's left to do now is grind a half moon into the end of each arm and weld everything together. I'll probably use the angle grinder with a grinding disc and the vise to do that. Okay, so here's a couple of the arms in the vise. What I'm going to be doing here is getting the angle grinder and just grinding a divot into the metal here, such that this bit of scrap that I cut off the base fits in snug, and that there's less of a gap between the metal and the rounded surface. Okay, so as you can see, the gap's closed plenty for welding, and it seems to be an alright fit. Now I just have to copy the profile of this arm onto the rest. Righto, so that's the arms done. I'm not going to bother with the base at the bottom because there's 4 of them, and I think there's more contact area for the weld anyway. So now I just got to clean up the ends a little bit and clean a little bit of the blue paint off, just so the welder works just a bit better. Should be able to wet the metal easier without contaminants. That's everything cleaned up. Okay, so for welding I'm just going to use flux cord wire. I'm cheap, I don't have any gas. But before I decide to weld the real thing, I'm just going to weld a little bit onto a scrap piece of metal, just to make sure the weld is set right and to get some practice in, because it's been a very long time since I've welded mild steel. I am going to have to weld further away from the camera though, because I don't want to blow it up. So sorry if I'm not getting a really interesting shot. You will get to see what it looks like once I've finished. Okay, so this is after that quick practice run. There was a couple of false starts that I felt like I had a bad earth. The weld just kept spinning and almost like there was either contaminants or a bad connection. But After I started on the final bead, everything seems to flow smoothly, and I think once I got some heat into things, everything just went okay. But I'm happy with that. There seems to be plenty of penetration and the weld bead is flowing together alright. So I think I'm ready to start on the real thing. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by tacking everything together, starting with the base, just to hold things together so I can come back and weld up things completely. I'm not worried on getting everything 100% square and perfect because it's just for hanging pots. It's not a really important structure or anything like that, so we'll see how we go. Okay, so we're a little bit square, if that's even possible. I'm not worried, flowers aren't square. Unfortunately, because I've put those tacks in the middle, it's going to be very hard to get a nice looking flowed weld now, so I'll turn the welder up a bit higher, a bit more penetration, and see if I can just neaten things up while I'm going along. Okay, so I just give everything a quick going over with the angle grinder with wire rush, just so we can get the flux off and have a bit of an inspection. Well, it's not my best work, but it is honest work. I'll just have to blame those tacks, which I did anyway. I'm going to weld the underneath now and the sides. I'll probably be in your way a bit, so I don't know how much of this you'll actually be able to see, but I'll do my best. Okay, so there wasn't any annoying tacks in the way for these welds, so they're a smooth flowed bead. Feel free to be harsh in the comments, I'd like to know if I'm doing anything wrong. Rightio, so it's time to weld on the arm up the top. I'm going to start by tacking them and then welding them completely, just like last time. Now remember from the plan, we have to do the smaller arms at the top and the larger ones at the bottom, like a pine tree. Right, so this is something like what it's going to look like. So now I just need to think if I'm going to go with a hole through the arm or if I'm going to weld on something to hook the basket onto. Right, so while I'm welding up the arms completely, I'm noticing that I have left a little bit of galvanized coating. I can tell that it's burning and putting out noxious gases. That's exactly why this channel is not a how-to channel, it is an entertainment only channel. Don't do what I do. I'm going to make a slight addition to the plan though, adding in some gussets. I think it'll make it look better. Might take away a little bit of the flex as well. So I think I'll cut this round bar into 10 8cm gussets. Right, so this is where we are now. I'm regretting putting these gussets on top and not the bottom because ideally you would be wanting to compress gussets in this scenario so as not to break off the welds I've put on it, and I think it would look better with these underneath. So I think for now I'll just think about things and leave those gussets lightly tacked until I decide whether or not I'm going to cut them and re-weld them. This is enough for today for me. So I think it's late enough in the evening now that I'll just put everything aside for a while, talk to the boss a bit, see if it's how things should be, and continue working in the next jump cut. Okay, so after sleeping on it, I've decided that those gussets belong under there. Righto, so after banging a couple of brain cells together, I think what I'll do is just cut some squares out of some flat bar, drill a hole through them, and weld them on like that. And then you can just hook the plants on with hooks through the holes. I think that would be ideal. Well, I've tacked on the little rectangle bits and tested them. They are satisfactory. So now I'll complete welding them up. Righto, so that's everything welded. So now it's the boring cleaning process. I'll spare you that. Gotta get all these little metal balls off of things. Clean off the flux from the flux cord wire. Okay, so here it is in its resting place. I am going to install some plastic end caps on the end of each arm, but that's going to have to be a job for another time because I don't have any on me at the moment. Hopefully soon the plants will have grown and there should be some nice flowers to look at. I might do an update video in the future after it's done just that, but until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and catch you next time.